Alright, so this is going to be a video on how to make a custom subwoofer system. Now, I say system because it's not going to be just the subwoofer. It's not going to be just the enclosure. I'm actually going to set up the entire system from wiring to hooking it up to the stereo, power wires, RCA. I'm going to go through everything, even mounting the amp. I did everything kind of a little bit different than most people do, so I really just kind of wanted to show you guys what I had going. So basically, I'm going to put any materials that I have in the description, and hope you guys enjoy. All right, here we go.
All right, so what we're going to do, we have some great value aluminum foil and painter's tape, and we're going to go ahead and put some cooking spray in as well. What we're going to go ahead and do is we want to mount the subwoofer right about here in the trunk, kind of facing up and out, and we're going to have, mount an amp over here, and we're going to have just the sub right here, and I want to make a fiberglass enclosure that fits perfectly in here and kind of fills up this little cubby hole of the space. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. What I'm going to start with is I'm going to go ahead and lay down painter's tape and aluminum foil, and that's going to keep the resin and fiberglass from sticking and locking to the panels. And then also it's going to leave good space for the wiring down here, and that all is going to be covered up with a nice fiberglass enclosure. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so I got everything taped off and tin foiled. I'm going to go ahead and spray it down with cooking spray, and then I'm going to start laying down my resin and then my fiberglass mat to go ahead and make a mold of this interior part. Now I'm going to actually end up keeping the mold. What I'm going to do is the mold is going to be the back of my enclosure, and it's going to be everything that's going to be mounted off that. So the speaker enclosure, the mounting brackets, everything is going to be off of that. So it's going to fit very, very nicely in the trunk here. And then also a quick tip that I found: big pieces of foil. It seems like a great idea. You cover a lot more area. What ends up happening is it gets very, very cumbersome, very, very difficult to kind of to manage where it goes. So what I ended up finding out was that smaller pieces, kind of about this size, work the best. About 8 inches by a foot. Like a regular sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11. It's going to work best. It's going to be a lot more workable, and you got to use a little bit more tape, but it definitely makes it a whole lot easier. All right, so let's get down to laying the resin. All right, so here we go. We have pretty much about 2 layers of fiberglass mat down, and I'm going to right up to the edges here, about 1 inch in. Went ahead and have all that fiberglass laid. We have all of our hoses running through, and those have like a nice little mold around them, so then that way they can all be, they can all route fine. They don't have to worry about getting something in the way. I definitely recommend a good gas mask for all of this, a respirator, as well as gloves, because you're going to get really messy and it's not going to be fun. Also, this stuff's pretty itchy, so you kind of want to, just keep it off your skin. So I'm going to go ahead and let this cure, or at least harden. Probably give it maybe about 12 hours, and then I'll go ahead and pop it out. And then I should be able to have everything else set. And I went ahead and only used 2 layers of mat because I can go ahead and strengthen up later. Right now, a lot of this stuff over here, it's just tin foil. It's basically tin foil over air. So it's really hard to lay the mat there. So once I let that harden, I'll be able to reinforce it more with more than just 2 layers of the fiberglass mat. Okay, so what we're doing here, we've got this piece of steel. Now this steel, it's just a flat bar. We've got a 1/8 inch thick, and it's going to be 4 feet long, 48 inches, and then it's going to be 1 1/4 wide. We're going to use that so that way we can mount our amplifier to that bracket, and that way we can have it standing up. I don't really want to mount it on the back of the seat, mainly because it's going to be a little bit troublesome. It is a Class AB amplifier, so it's going to develop a lot more heat than a Class D amplifier, so I'm a little concerned about that heat. So I'm going to have these actually mounted in a different way. So you'll see that in a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and have these. I'm going to drill them, and then I'm going to end up bending these so that we can mount it up at an angle. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side with the other end. Just going to take the sticker off, and then that way I have the full length of the bar here for that. All right. All right, so basically what I did, I have this concrete edge here. I took my originally straight piece of metal and had my line right here of where I'm supposed to fold it on, had that overhanging, and I just hit it with a hammer just to get it to bend, and was able to work it kind of into the angle that I wanted. I didn't want to go too sharp with the angle because I knew that it would then fatigue and eventually weaken and kind of break and end up necking and not really being as strong as I would like. Did the same thing to the second one here. So I got those to fit the exact same curve. And so what I did, just to check it all, I lined it up so that the backs are even, and then the tops are even, and as you can see, the angles are even as well. Alright, so I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so also, when you bend this, you're going to realize that the holes are going to deform a little bit, and your screws may not fit through, the screws that you had originally chosen. So just drill them out, and then that way your screws still fit. Okay, so where we stand here, the brackets are all fabbed up. I went ahead and just used some nut and hex keys. I bought actually in the set. I like them because they all look the same. I'm tired of piecing shit out of the garage. So I have it's got like the brushed steel aluminum casing. Now I'm going to go ahead and actually paint these mounts that I made, these brackets. I'm going to go ahead and paint them black. Eventually, I mean, right now there's no point. They're probably going to get scratched up before I finish anyway. But it's got enough room down here for the cooling fins. Because once again, it is a Class A/B amplifier. It's much cheaper than the Class Ds that I found, but at the same time, it's going to generate a lot more heat. So I just wanted to make sure that there's adequate room that's going to cool well. And of course, it's not going to get bolted through the carpet. There is no more carpet. It's going to be on that painted floor that I had before. So this is what it looks like, and that's going to be mounted. If you open the trunk this way, it's going to be mounted at like this kind of an angle, and it's going to have, there's going to be a sub here mounted inside the trunk, so if you're looking down on it, sub here, amp there, and then eventually I'm going to relocate the car battery in the trunk back here. So, and that's what I'm going to have set up. Alright, so what I've been working on here, I've got this piece of metal that it's a little bit thinner than the other one. It's only 1 inch wide, you can see, and it's the same thickness. I believe it's 1/8. And what I've done is I've bent it so that it fits right there. And what it's going to do is it's going to line up over here, and that's going to support from the side. And it's going to allow it to be a lot more stable, so it's not just hanging on a cantilever bend. Because this amplifier is actually quite heavy, and I don't really want it to bend, especially if I'm doing track times and stuff like that. I don't want to have to go through the pain in the ass of taking it in and out. So I'm just going to leave it in, and this should be able to sustain all the acceleration. All right, so that was the last rivet there. So what we got now is we got a solid frame here. So I went ahead and riveted the bottom so that it sits flush. on the bottom. Then I have this mounting hole here and this mounting hole here. Of course, I got the mount here for the amp as well as on the other side. Then this mount up here is the combined mount for both this bracket and this bracket here, this angled bracket. So that way, when you accelerate, if the weight of the, of course, inertia, this is going to want to sit still. So when you accelerate, if it's facing backwards, it's going to want to pull back, kind of maintain its own spot. So this keeps this metal bracket from bending over time or bending in one sudden acceleration or even deceleration. So this helps to stabilize that. And then, of course, all right, so to go ahead and take this apart, you're going to just push these all the way down. You're going to just pull back a little bit, and that's going to pop that side out, one side, this left side, and then you just keep working your way around. Be careful not to pull too hard, and then when you straighten it out, it's going to pop right out. And that's what the clip looks like. It really just snaps over this ring here. You can do the same with the other side. Boom, that pops that corner out. You just roll it back to center, and then it comes right off. Now there's two screws, one here, and then one over here. You're just going to unscrew those. You're going to pull all your HVAC knobs off. You just grab them and pull. And some of them are a little bit tougher than others. So you just pull them out and get them off. And then what you're going to end up doing is you're just going to pull here in the center, and that's going to end up popping this area out. You're just going to work it back. And for the most part, this all just fits very snugly. And then down on the very bottom, where you really got to be careful, there's two clips, one here and one here. And those ones are that's what'll cause you to end up cracking your faceplate here. So just be careful with those two clips down there. All right, so here what we've done, I went ahead and pulled out the head unit and the whole center console here. I just undid the 4 screws that mounted the housing for the faceplate and the whole head unit. Pulled that out, and I'm going to go ahead and wire my line outs for my subwoofer. These are going to go to the amplifier, just using these connectors, and that's going to be going through here. So I'm just wiring it, coming out the bottom there, and then I'm going to be routing it all the way back to the trunk, and that's basically it. All right, so what I've done here, I went ahead and got this remote wire. Now, typically these come off of head units to turn on the antenna if you have an electric antenna that extends up, or motorized antenna. But in this case, we're using it for our to turn on our amplifier. So that way, when the head unit is on and has power, we will be able to get everything set up. I'm gonna go ahead and twist these together and then crimp it all in. Now, the RCA cable that we have, it came with what I believe is a remote wire right here, which is very convenient. It just seems like it's a really small gauge, like it's maybe a 20 gauge wire inside there. So I'm going to go ahead and use some 16 gauge because that's what the manufacturer recommends on the remote wire for the amplifier. All right, so we've got our head unit reinstalled here. Just need to put our faceplate back on. We've got all the mess of wires down there. Now we're going to go ahead and run those. It's the RCA and the remote wire. We're going to run those behind the carpet. We're going to run it down the right side of the car all the way into the trunk. We're actually going to have it cross back over to the other side of the car to rejoin where the power wire is running. That way we don't get any interference, at least for a majority of the run. And then we're going to go ahead and have it reconnect in the back over there where the amp is going to be hooked up, just behind that seat. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to, in order to run all the wires underneath the carpet, we're going to start by popping these panels off here in the back. All right, that's one clip. I think there's 3. Second clip, third clip. Just put that over there for right now. Cool, now we're going to go ahead and just take off this sealing, this weather sealing material, and just get it back enough that we can actually get the carpet up here. And then we can get this kick panel out. All right, so it was a little difficult to pop off, but it wasn't too bad. See here, I think that's our antenna maybe. but that's not relevant. All right, cool. So we went ahead and got that off. We're going to go ahead and just pull our carpet down. All right. Now it's kind of hard to see here. There are clips that hold the carpet in. You see one there. You might be able to work around them, or you might need a trim removal tool or some sort of wedge or screwdriver to kind of pop those out. Alright, so I got it all tucked up in, at least on the front part of the car. Still haven't put the kick panel and the trim back on yet. But you can see I got it coming all the way through here, and then I'm just going to keep feeding it through, get this seat bolt covering off, take the trim on the back door off, and then keep wiring it through. Alright, so I don't know if you can see, there's a blue wire there, going to be covered up by the trim. The RCA's run through there with the remote wire. And then, of course, over here we've got them coming through the back. What I'll end up doing is run them across underneath the seat, just tucked in the back, and then wrap around where the amp's going to be. And now we can go ahead and put our carpet back. We're going to have this running through here. We might put some loom on it just to go ahead and protect it a little bit more. And then that's about it for right now. Alright. So here's where I got lines run through. Lines, they come right up in through here. Got it zip tied there. Runs across. I've got it zip tied to that bracket right here. Zip tied there. And I've just got it running along. There's a little ridge here meant for these other wires, and I just got it zip lined through. 3 zip ties all the way across, and then I'll probably have the 4th one, over there when I get to the other side. Crawling through here. And of course I'll have to tuck that other side over here back in. That's how I'm going to run it right through there and into the trunk. This line here, it's already wire loomed. I don't know how much space there is in there. Also, that wire loom might be brittle, so I'll probably just run in some other wire loom that I have, and then that'll complete the routing to the trunk. Alright, so here's the final mounting for the wiring. We have just the RCA taped to the remote wire, and that's running into the trunk. Which starts the wire loom here just to make sure it doesn't get pinched or anything inside the seat where it folds. And then if I have any of the extra wire, it's just wound up in kind of a large coil so it doesn't make a huge bump in the carpet. And it's pretty dark, but you can't really see any sort of misshapen parts or anything like that. And then like I said, the wire just runs through here into this loom and then into the trunk. So, I'll go ahead and show you now. Let's see. There's the fiberglass from before, and then there is the amp. I'm pretty sure that's how I'm going to mount it. I wanted to go with a little bit more of an extreme angle, kind of have it facing out a little bit more. But in this case, I think it's just because of where the wheel well comes in. I just don't think there's going to be enough clearance. There's a couple ways that I could make it fit, kind of flushing it out and having this mounting bracket actually go straight into the wheel well and have it bolt there. But that's kind of a little bit more of a hassle and a little bit something I just didn't really want to drill through that. And I just kind of have this mocked up a little bit just to see where the wire's going to come through. I have the loom. You really can't see shit. Anyway, the loom just runs right through kind of where the carpet would have had it hidden, and then it comes right through underneath, and then the loom stops right in the middle of the amp, and then the RCA comes through to finish. That's my remote. That actually hooks up on the other side with the power and everything else. Alright, so here's the positive, crimped on. Of course, that protector. I'll probably actually throw some solder on there later, but right now, just for mocking up, it's not too important. So I'd have that coming through right here. Drill the hole. I initially drilled the hole there on the left. Then it kind of didn't really turn right into the firewall, so I went ahead and redid this one here. and then it comes up through over by the underneath the windshield wiper mechanism. Then it comes through here, and then it feeds through that grommet right in there, and then up onto the dash. And what I have it coming through now is I'm going to actually feed it back through the dash, and I'm going to have it, instead of kind of coiled up here, it's going to go underneath that center console. I think the center console will be just a little bit easier to have it feed through, just because I don't want to get caught up eating a bunch of wire just trying to get it through the steering column and avoiding the pedal assembly and everything. So that's what I'm doing now. Alright, so the full install, got it going through here. There's our fuse. We're going to snap this back on. Now that fuse is waterproof, or that casing is waterproof for the fuse, so that should be fine. I mean, I guess I'll find out eventually to see if it shorts out, but, you know, it's supposed to be. Alright, so then that runs through there, that runs through there, that runs through there, that goes up there. Then I got the whole dash back in. And then it comes out the bottom here, and all I got to do is zip tie and then feed it through the center console. I have that painted, I smoothed that out and made it flat black. And then, so yeah, so that'll run through. Then I'll go all the way through down here, all the way across, over, meet up with the RCA, and then back into the trunk. Alright, so here's where I got it coming through in this loom here. Here's the RCA. They've joined up. I've run the RCA is on the top on the ridge, and I've run the power wire kind of down on the bottom, trying to get the least interference. They're about I'd say probably 6 inches apart. So I know it's pretty dark. About 6 inches apart, trying to keep that resistance or that interference as low as possible. But they do kind of join up right here. And then when I put the shroud on to hopefully keep the resistance a little bit lower as well, just guaranteeing a little bit more space, but really not too much. Then all three looms, the stock loom, the RCA loom, and the power loom, running into the trunk. They're coming out right there, and then just having them just kind of hanging right now in the abyss there. And yeah, that's basically it. All the wiring is done. The remote wire's here. The RCA is the power wire. I can create the ground right in there. Got my wooden ring back there, and I'm about to start molding up the housing there. So that's that. All right, so just gonna go ahead and see how well. It's actually coming off extremely easily. See right there, the resin didn't soak through all the way. But once again, this is just kind of my my initial backing, and then after I do all this, I'll have a support and I can lay a lot more mat down. Now, for the most part, as far as this back part, you know, it's very oily. I did spray it with a lot of cooking spray. It's pretty oily, but it is coming off pretty clean. And of course, I'll once I peel it all off, I'll flip it, make sure it bakes very well in the sun. But not too bad. It's all shaped. One thing I have to do from here would be let it cure, or not cure, but let it, you know, get all the oil off and everything, and then strengthen up all the edges and lay a couple more layers of mat down. So we went ahead and mounted the speaker. We've actually drilled it down to the foam core there. That's holding that up. I went ahead and trimmed it. I didn't trim it all the way where I wanted. I want to leave it a little bit longer, get a little extra volume in there. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to stretch our cloth, and then we're going to use some of this spray glue some spray adhesive, just going to coat through here, and then we're actually going to pull down our cloth so that we get these curves that we want here. And I've only done this top part so far, and I stapled the fleece to the inside rim of the enclosure where the speaker will actually be mounting, just that inside rim there, and that way I can stretch the cloth over and get the edge that I'm looking for. Alright, so we're going to continue doing that here in a sec. We're just going through here with our adhesive. Kind of like spray paint, except it does spray in a pattern. You want to try and see if you can crisscross the pattern for best results. Now, once you spray it, it's going to be pretty wet. That's not when you're actually going to apply it. You want to wait for it to get sticky. They recommend about 1 to 3 minutes. Pretty much that's spot on. I'd say about 1 minute. Start putting it on, start stretching it on, and then that way, in case you need to get out a couple of folds or something, you can still stretch it, and then you can re-stretch it as well, and it's not going to be too difficult to pull off and not going to really ruin anything. Alright? Alright, so I've got a lot of extra cloth here. I just kind of cut it up quick, didn't really matter. Plus I wanted to see if I could get it to kind of flush over a little bit. So basically, let me just show you what I got. So here's a ridge where it's going to connect to the wall, kind of flush up, but still, of course, be removable. Here's the other hard edge. Kind of see. Of course, here's the ring. See kind of the curves. It's really hard with those stripes. The fleece, I just got it from Walmart. I think it was like $3 or $4 for, I don't know, just the size. It was the size of a blanket that you could probably sleep with. So, you know, use it in the winter, and then I don't know, make a speaker in the summer. So now I'm gonna still need to Bondo it, paint it, and make it look nice, and you know, be bolted down and whatnot. I mean, this is solid. It's not going anywhere. This has a very little bit of wiggle, but nothing to be concerned about. I've had them bolted through the chassis, so that goes all the way to the other side of the car. Both of those. I had to relocate the bolt. I ended up cutting this back here and moving that support in closer, so I could get a better angle that I really wanted. And then also had to relocate that bolt there to that center so I could have everything bolted up from the bottom. So on the next video, I'll probably include a little bit more specifics on that bolt, and then I'll include all the final work for this, including Bondo and paint. Alright, well, hope you guys enjoyed everything, and I'll see you next video.